I'm pleased to be here with you. My name is Paul Breton. I'm a bishop in the Ecumenical Catholic Church, one of the small Catholic denominations that can be found in the United States and other parts of the world. I have a history dating back to 1969 of being involved in the movement for human rights for gay, lesbian, bisexual people. And since that time, it has expanded beyond that to a wider range of people. I started in 1969 when a young man came to my attention and insisted that I was the only one that could help him to get off of heroin addiction. I refused at first. I tried to refer him to professional agencies, but he kept pushing for it, and I finally did assist him to get to start the process. He was able to get off of heroin and was sober and healthy, and left Washington, D.C. at that time to go back to West Virginia, which is his home. But before he left, he made a very, very important statement to me, calling me Father Paul. And I kept telling to him, I'm not Father Paul, I'm just Paul. And he insisted that the day would come when I would be Father Paul. A couple of years later, in 1971, I joined the Universal Fellowship of Metropolitan Community Churches. There was a group of churches under the leadership of Reverend Troy Perry, who founded that movement of churches in order to provide affirmation and support for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and other people of sexual minority. I worked with that denomination up until 1989 and separated at that time from that denomination. I had been ordained a priest by a wonderful bishop in the independent Catholic movement, and in 1989 I started St. Eldred's Parish of the San Episcopal Church, Old Catholic, in San Bernardino, California. And after we started that parish, we served the community for 15 years, primarily focused on people whose lives were affected by HIV and AIDS. Since then, I have worked with the St. Michael Judge Fellowship, and I have worked with interfaith and ecumenical organizations in service to the gay, lesbian community, as well as organizations in service to the community of people whose lives were affected by HIV/AIDS. I joined the Ecumenical Catholic Church in 2004 and worked with Archbishop Mark Girolamo, who started this jurisdiction, and tried to focus this jurisdiction with him on ministering with people of sexual minority. And I prefer to use the term sexual minority rather than the acronym of LGBTQ. There's nothing wrong with the acronym, and it's perfectly fine for people to want to use the acronym in their own identification. I challenge them to keep on doing it and to stay firm in self-identifying. We did a very long struggle to identify ourselves as gay and steal that word from people who used it to deride us. And I think the acronym of LGBTQIA is equally worthy of being possessed by our people, and a decision made as to how that term is to be used. I continue to work in the LGBTQIA community as much as I possibly can. I lived in California for 40 years and now moved to Tucson, Arizona, and I'm starting to find my way around Tucson to work with the community there. I have published some articles and have worked with the commercial industry as well as with religious groups. Over the years, I've been on television and radio, and this is my first podcast to be delivering my message, if I possibly can, to anyone who's watching this podcast. I am 84 years old as of this date. I started doing this in 1969 when I was young and had hair, and I have moved on from there without any hair, and I keep on doing it. I'm still going to be 85 in 2 months, and I have no intention to retire or stop being an activist on behalf of people of sexual minority. My inclusion of people of sexual minority are gay men, lesbian women, bisexual men and women, as well as transgender and transvestite men and women, as well as any other people who live in whose lifestyles or whose sexual orientation or whose preferred style of living happen to be within the area of sexual minority. My opinion in terms of sexual morality are in many respects similar to the opinions of the Roman Catholic Church, the Episcopal Church, and other standard denominations, and yet differ quite a bit as well. And I support, for instance, same-gender marriage and consider the same-gender marriage worthy of being consecrated in the same manner and for the same reason as opposite-gender marriage. I have conducted same-gender marriages over the years, and I always enjoy and welcome the opportunity to call God's blessings down on a couple willing to commit themselves through a long life of working together and to be in a loving relationship. There are many things we do not understand about human sexuality, and we are not at the point yet where we fully understand them. There are still many people who are suffering discrimination because of the issues of their sexuality. The important part nowadays is in the United States is the issue of those persons who are transgender. The phenomenon of transgender is not something new, and it's not something that people all of a sudden wake up in the middle of the night thinking that they want to change their gender. The phenomenon of hermaphroditism, I didn't pronounce that right, but that's a scientific term, so I'm going to get away with it. That phenomenon has been around for as long as human beings have been around. God created all of us in true genders, generically, male and female. But there are anomalies, and just as there are anomalies for many other situations of birth, there are anomalies as well as for gender. I was reading a book not too long ago that in the Jewish religion, there are considerations of 8 separate genders. I read that in many communities of indigenous people in North America, then there are considerations of 6 genders. There is the male male, and the female male. And then for the female, there's the female female, and the male female. And the reason for doing that is that there are various characteristics that show a person to be, to have dispositions of both genders at the same time. There's also the issue of people who are intersex, and that's, the intersex is a true hermaphrodite. It's a person who has genitalia of both genders, and they can be perfectly healthy, normal, adult, functioning, professional people, working and raising families, having good, solid life, but they experience the genitalia of both genders. That means that in their lifestyle, their life experiences, that they have experiences that may be other than what would be considered expected. Our church, the Ecumenical Catholic Church, was founded by Archbishop Mark Girolamo in the mid-1980s. And I joined the church because when I was with the Metropolitan Community Churches, I loved that denomination. I loved the work that they did. I recognized the vision and the prophecy of Reverend Troy Perry, who started the denomination. But the denomination grew in one direction, I grew in another direction. It is predominantly a Protestant denomination, which incorporates a wide variety of Protestant denominations and provides affirmation and support for the gay and lesbian community worldwide. I continue to do that work in the Ecumenical Catholic Church with the support of my bishop, and I try to offer support, encouragement, and affirmation to people of sexual minority in the Ecumenical Catholic Church. I'm happy to be here, and I invite all of you who may see this to consider taking a look at the Ecumenical Catholic Church. You may want to contact me or contact any of our sources. Contact the website and make arrangements with us to meet with you and talk with you. Thank you for sharing with me and for watching me mess up my speech a little bit, but I'm glad to be here and thank you very much. God bless.